Good afternoon and good evening. My name is Aurélien Lorange from the Corax Foundation. For this match, today we'll have the first, I would say, debate for two teams in the Hague Inter-University Law Debate Tournament 2025. This is the 8th edition, and today we'll have a team from Paris, Paris 1, Pantheon-Sorbonne University in France, and a team from OP Jindal Global University in India. These two teams received a topic that they will debate on for this session, and of course they don't know yet which position they will have to be in favor or against the motion. But before we talk about the topic, of course it is time to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. So I'd like to give the floor to Miss Dietmar in Paris. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily Dittmar. I'm a third-year law and economics student at Pantheon-Sorbonne, and I'm super excited to be here today.
Thank you, welcome. In India, in New Delhi, we have as well Rishpar Iyer. Welcome.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Rishabh. I'm a fourth-year law student at OP Jindal Global University, and I'm just looking forward to have fun today. All the best to everybody.
Thank you and welcome. We have as well in Paris Mr. Martin Velev. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. My name is Martin Velev, and I'm a third-year law student at the University of Paris 1, and I wish good luck to everyone.
Thank you, welcome. We have as well in India Tanish Niraj. Welcome.
Good afternoon and good evening to everyone. I'm Tanish Niraj. All the best to both the teams.
Thank you. We have as well Meghna Mahbubani. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm in my third year of a diploma in law and history at Pantheon-Sorbonne, and I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. Welcome. And we have as well Shauni Veta Sulai Ganananasikar. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Charu. I'm a second year law student, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I hope we have a great debate today.
Thank you. So you received a match for this session. I mentioned as well that both teams are members of two student associations. One is ELSA Paris 1 Pantheon-Sorbonne in Paris, and as well the Jindal International Law Society in, of course, Jindal Global Law School. So for this match, you received a topic. This topic is international criminal law should prosecute individuals and corporations responsible for significant harm to global diversity through the deliberate introduction of invasive species. So now I will share my screen, so we know which position you will have for this match. The team will be in favor, will be starting the match with the first introduction. So in a few seconds you should see my screen with a wheel, and this wheel has the double flags of both institutions and logos. So we'll know now which team will be in favor. So I'm activating the randomizer. So this will be OP Jindal Global University will be against the motion. As a consequence, that means that Paris 1 Pantheon-Sorbonne University will be in favor of the motion and will be starting the match. So it means concretely Paris 1 Pantheon-Sorbonne University will be defending the position that international criminal law should prosecute individuals and corporations responsible for significant harm to global diversity through the deliberate introduction of invasive species. While, on the other side, OP Jindal Global University will defend the position that international criminal law should not prosecute individuals and corporations responsible for significant harm to global diversity through the deliberate introduction of invasive species. So now both teams will have 5 minutes to review their notes, and then we'll start with the first introduction by the team from Paris. Here we are done with the 5 minutes of preparation, so I stop sharing my screen. So before we start with the introduction by the team from Paris, I just want to remind everybody watching as well online that when there will be a yellow card, it means that the student with the speaking time can still speak for 30 seconds. This is the end of the speaking time, let's say, almost the end. And then the red card means that this is the end of the speaking time exactly, so the time is over, they can finish their sentence, but they are advised to not start a new one because the judge might sanction with a deduction of points eventually. So now we'll start the match officially, so I give the floor for the first introduction to the team from Paris 1 Pantheon-Sorbonne University. You have 4 minutes.
I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, esteemed judges, organisers, and colleagues from OP Jindal Global University. On behalf of myself and my teammates Meghna Mahboubani and Martin Vellev, we are pleased to be here today discussing this highly interesting issue with you. My team and I will be arguing that international criminal law should prosecute individuals and corporations responsible for significant harm to global biodiversity through the deliberate introduction of invasive species. Before presenting our arguments, we will first define key terms in the motion to clarify the debate's scope and highlight the main points of contention. By invasive species, we refer to animals and plants that are introduced accidentally or deliberately into a natural environment where they are not normally found, with disastrous consequences for their new environment. So organisms harmful not because of what they are, but where they happen to be. For the purpose of this debate, we explicitly exclude instances of accidental introduction from our definition, as the motion unequivocally specifies deliberate introduction as its focal point. There are major threat to native plants and animals in Europe and are one of the 5 major causes of biodiversity loss. These invasive species, as well as inflicting significant damage to the environment, can also pose a threat to human health. For instance, the Asian tiger mosquito, which arrived in Europe through the trade in used car tires, has been linked to the transmission of more than 20 pathogens. There is also a major financial cost involved. The cost to Europe in terms of controlling and eradicating invasive alien species and repairing the damage they cause is estimated at more than 10 billion euros a year. We therefore assert that both individuals and corporations must be held accountable. In recent years, there has been a growing movement to recognise ecocide, defined by the independent expert panel as the unlawful or wanton acts committed with knowledge that there is a substantial likelihood of severe and either widespread or long-term damage to the environment being caused by those acts as an international crime. Under this definition, the intentional introduction of invasive species that threaten biodiversity could indeed be considered an act of ecocide. The Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court is intended to address the most serious crimes of concern to the international community as a whole, those acts which most threaten the peace, security, and well-being of the world. In the context of the climate and ecological crisis, 3 Pacific Island nations have made it clear that they firmly believe that the destruction of vital ecosystems through human activity can be said to constitute precisely such a threat. It is worth mentioning that the Rome Statute already criminalizes long-term and severe damage to the natural environment as a war crime. However, its scope remains limited to acts committed during an armed conflict, highlighting the need for precisely broader accountability in peacetime. Establishing ecocide as a 5th international crime would serve as a powerful deterrent, reinforcing the urgency of environmental responsibility on a global scale. Support for the recognition of ecocide as an international crime has already been publicly declared. Moreover, the EU adopted a revised environmental crime directive last year, harmonizing penalties for individuals and for the first time companies. It also expands the list of new environmental crimes, including the import of invasive species, as stated in Article 3R. As environmental destruction gains recognition, international criminal law must ensure accountability for those deliberately introducing invasive species and harming global biodiversity. Thank you for listening. I will now give the floor to my colleagues at the OP Jindal Global University.
Thank you very much. Now we hear the first introduction as well. So the introduction on the side of OP Jindal Global University. You have 4 minutes.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, organizers, and respected opponents, today I stand before you to condone that international criminal law should not prosecute individuals and corporations responsible for the significant harm to global biodiversity through the deliberate introduction of invasive species. We humbly propose an amendment to cite proposition's definition to actually include non-native species that threaten biodiversity and native species. We also want to recognize that environmental harm has been included in the Rome Statute by virtue of Article 8 2b4. And it is argued that the standard of intent is too high, which has been reasserted by the fact that there hasn't been any conviction under the same. We also see strict liability be rejected as a ground for liability pursuant to para 427 of the Bemba pre-trial chamber. This unequivocally goes to show that there is a clear absence of any feasible standard of mens rea to be equated to causing ecological harm through invasive species. On the off chance that strict liability is actually imposed or assumed by the Honorable Court, I would like to quote Honorable Pulitzer Prize winner Edward O. Wilson, who had said extinction by habitat destruction is like the death in an automobile accident. In layman terms, we are far too scientifically disadvantaged to understand the complicated interactions through which invasive species threaten global biodiversity. This trap that would come into play if we were to go with strict liability would only threaten innovation of biotechnology and to combat climate change. The United Nations and India actually had a capacity building project on biotechnology that it aimed at innovating sustainable biotechnology, simultaneously combating climate change and addressing scarcity. But if criminal strict liability is attached, it not only compromises the WTO's vision, but also the progress of preserving biodiversity that we have seen has taken a long stride over the past decade. Talking solely about corporate liability, there is a clear absence in any provisional decrement under the statutory guidelines of the Rome Statute. Article 25.1 clearly addresses that only natural persons are to be tried under this statute. One of the reasons corporate criminal liability has not been accepted as a mode of liability in international criminal law are the very objections with reference to the difficulties of the assessment and well-established principles of international criminal law, mainly through the argumentation of the principle societas delinquere no potest must be upheld as corporations have absolutely no body to kick, nor do they have any soul to damn. Testamentary to the Exxon spill case, there is an absence of affecting corporate liability, corporate culture will only promise harm. The rationale behind the possibility of holding corporate individuals will only environment, thus effectively changing corporate behavior. However, corporate structure is complexly fragmented and compartmentalized, where top level management is shielded by layers of hierarchy. Moreover, even if the corporate will is pierced, it doesn't include corporate criminal liability, thereby allowing them to go scot-free. We propose that if there must be a penalizing provision, it must be done so commercially. Corporate liability can be held to a higher compensatory degree and damage control mechanism, which, although does not absolve them of the harm, we will attempt to restore what harm has been perpetrated. Firstly, according to Rule 85A and B of the Rules of the Procedure and Evidence, victims can only be natural persons, organizations, or institutions. Therefore, global biodiversity cannot be categorized as a victim. And under the Rome Statute, alternatively, if there is a proposition that an amendment to these provisions is provided, there must be an evident enough. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we hear the first rebuttals. So we start with the first rebuttal from the side of Paris 1 Pantheon-Sorbonne University. You have 2 minutes.
I will start in 3, 2, 1. So first of all, corporations, they must be held accountable because many of the worst invasive species introductions were accidents. They were driven by the profits of corporations. And for example, we see the Asian carp in the Mississippi River that was brought for aquaculture. but they escaped and they now threaten native fish populations. And the problem with this is that these $1 million corporations, they don't really have a problem introducing these species because the fines that they obtain are not comparable with the $1 billion profits they make. And for example, we have the corporation Bayer Monsanto that was just fined for $10 million for illegal pollution in 2021. But for them, this, as I said already, is nothing against their billion revenues. Then we can say that current laws aren't enough. We have the Convention on Biological Diversity and the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. But the problem is that these treaties, they don't have a real enforcement. And so different countries have different laws, and corporations, they usually find some sort of loopholes to escape responsibility. And then our last argument is that there's legal precedence for this change. For example, international law, namely in 2021, the International Criminal Court announced that they would treat serious environmental harm as crime against humanity. And there's also the Stop Ecocide campaign, and this could be further expanded to include the introduction of invasive species. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we hear as well the first rebuttal on the side of OP Jindal Global University. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'll start my speech. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel's side proposition came and missed a key definition, which is what do we define significant harm to be, right? Which is what our first speaker did. Now, coming to the whole argument telling that there is already a provision which is A2B4 for war crimes. This provision, there has not been a single prosecution within this provision. That is what side opposition is today telling, that the mens rea component of a criminal law, it's too high. This mens rea component is never reached in cases like this, and that is why there has been no prosecution. That is where a commercial liability kicks in, where there is no mens rea, where there is a clear-cut way to get some amount of compensation out of the perpetrator. Right. This is where the first speaker of side opposition came and spoke about corporate veil. Corporate veil cannot be easily removed, and once it's removed, even if it's removed, it goes to individual liability, which ends up with the mid-level managers and does not stop. The whole point of invasive species in our native land is that the invasive species has to be stopped. This stopping needs money. This money does not accrue from criminal liability, but actually does from commercial liability. I would like to point out the misunderstandings of criminal liability, wherein there can be false traps. For example, for COVID, the entire world, China, for example, US was the first one to blame China to wantonly release COVID for the entire world. Such deliberate move, even though it was not deliberate, the mens rea component is so high of criminal liability that nothing can be proven. This is where we need immediate money and immediate way to compensate the damage created. This is where commercial liability kicks in, right? The other side rebutted, telling that the corporations do this for profit. Yes, corporations do this for profit, and that is why they will be ready to give amount some part of their profits for compensation. Whereas it would curb innovation if you push a criminal liability altogether. A criminal liability would curb innovation altogether, whereas a commercial liability would make innovation as well as sustainable innovation go hand in hand. It is not only going to state that you're criminally liable, but also it pushes for a compensatory mechanism which involves monetary values. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will move to second rebuttals. We give the first to the Paris 1 Pantheon-Sorbonne University. For the second rebuttal, you have 2 minutes.
I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The university, our opponents, did state that the commercial liability is in some way opposed to criminal liability, but this is not true. In fact, the role of the ICC, which is the main emitter of criminal international law, is in fact a subsidiarity, has a role of subsidiarity compared to commercial liability. This means that it's only as a last resort instance that we will recourse to international criminal law. precedents already exist, and the Security Council can in fact immediately extend the jurisdiction of the ICC already to include crimes that would fall under the 4 major crimes of the ICC under the term of ecocide, which Emily has already discussed. So what this means is that the ICC has a subsidiary role that has no infringing on commercial liability of certain corporate persons, thus erasing the obstacle to international criminal law that would have a say on the introduction of invasive species. Not to mention that our opponents have not brought up the idea of transboundary environmental harm. The idea of transboundary environmental harm does mean that national jurisdictions that impose commercial liability will not be able to take care of transboundary environmental harm that infringes on the territory of other states. The IIC, as a last resort subsidiary jurisdiction, will help as it will enhance principles that already exist in international law and complete the laws and criminal law in national jurisdictions that may not be able to condemn legal persons and natural persons who commit or harm the environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now here are the second rebuttals on the side of UP Jindal Global University. You have 2 minutes. Microphone, I think.
Yes, can I confirm that I'm audible and visible?
Yes, both.
Thank you. I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. While we understand the position of the proposition in that commercial liability can go hand in hand with criminal liability, we wish to emphasize on the stance put forth by our first speaker, which is that criminal liability cannot the mens rea component that is required under criminal liability cannot be compatible with the Rome Statute, and the liability that has been envisioned by national jurisdictions cannot extend to international criminal law. In that stance, we understand that national jurisdictions that criminalize ecocide, and insofar as that also criminalize invasive species, specifically resort to strict liability. However, strict liability is not a standard that is envisioned by the Rome Statute as specified by the Bemba pre-trial chamber in paragraph 427. Additionally, I also wish to engage with the proposition's contention that the UNSC can immediately pass amendments to the Rome Statute and therefore alter the crimes that the Rome Statute does encompass. It is important to note in this instance that the Rome Statute has an extensive procedure for proposing amendments as specified in Article 121 of the Rome Statute. This also requires the countries that are party to the Rome Statute to engage with what level of mens rea and what level of actus reus would be required. And to that extent, we argue that no possible iterations of what mens rea and actus reus standards can be envisioned under the Rome Statute can go hand in hand with sustainable innovation of biotechnology, as biotechnology has proven to be an essential tool in advancing the fight towards climate change and in ensuring that trade for nature positive trade can be compatible with WTO norms. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Now we move to the conclusions. We hear first the conclusion from the team from Paris. You have 2 minutes.
I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Well, our opponents argue that mens rea standards make ecocide difficult to prosecute. However, we have to underscore that international law already accommodates different levels of culpability beyond direct intent. And I think we all agree that there has to be a shift in order to combat climate change, ecocides, or, the disastrous consequences of importing invasive species into our environment, So we need to have a shift. So while we believe that certain regulations and national policies can have an impact, they often have proven to be insufficient in preventing large-scale harm. So the growing global recognition of environmental destruction as a crime shows that the urgency of this shift. So several state parties are already advancing ecocide provisions, and several political leaders have shown their support, and even public opinion strongly supports this approach, seeing as there was a survey that showed that 70% of people were in favor of the criminalization of ecocide. And there is currently a proposal to amend the Rome Statute there is a current proposal in discussion before the ICC. And we therefore believe that international criminal law has always sought to address the gravest threats to peace, security, and human well-being. And while human well-being is threatened over here, so the destruction of global biodiversity through the deliberate introduction of invasive species is no exception. It is time for the law to reflect this reality and ensure that those responsible are brought to justice, may it be individuals or corporations.
Thank you very much. Now we hear as well the conclusion on the side of UP Jindal Global Law School. You have 2 minutes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1. Panel, to conclude, what is the goal of criminally or commercially penalizing ecocide? The goal is to A, to continue sustainable innovation, and B, for this particular motion to remove invasive species, to stop already what has been significantly harmed, to stop it right there. What is required to achieve this goal? The first and foremost thing and the quickest thing is required is money. We tell you that because the criminal laws have such high level of mens rea, you cannot convict them. A conviction cannot be found. And if there is no conviction, no corporation is ever going to pay a single penny. Whereas on the other hand, because commercial liability can be easily pushed for, there can be some amount of money gathered which can be used for restoration of justice. They speak of amendments to Rule 85 of the Rome Statute, the Rules and Procedures of Rome Statute, but this amendment would only recognize environment as a victim and not species as a victim, which is the very case of this current motion, that species themselves become a victim to invasive species, right? Secondly, coming to sustainable innovation, we have already proved to you how corporations will be willing to give certain amount of their profits to increase more profits further the line. That is why they will be involved in smaller countries and not just reluctant for entering them, so that there can be sustainable innovation which goes hand in hand along with the safeguarding of global biodiversity. The first speaker for side opposition came and explained how removing the corporate veil is an impossible task. He had also explained that how 82B4, which criminalizes crimes on environment for in a war crime, there has not been a conviction because international criminal law does not recognize strict liability. Tollers directives is not possible as per the Rome Statute, and the international criminal law does not allow such high level of mens rea to exist. This is why side opposition strongly stands against criminalizing deliberate introduction of invasive species. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We just heard both conclusions, so from now you are not under evaluation by the judge. So you can breathe, you can take a bit of water if you wish, because now we are in the post-match phase of the session. So I will ask to each of you your impression on the topic preparation and the performance of both teams. And after, we'll do a bit of networking with 2 questions. So I will start first in asking Ishrab Iyer, what did you think about this match and the topic and the preparation?
I think thoroughly enjoyed myself all throughout the 10 minutes that both sides had. I would particularly like to give my accolades to and sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, but Emile, because I think the coherence that she had in her speech was absolutely astounding. Her remarks were well phrased, her arguments were put forth very well, and I think overall the team did a very good effort in putting forward their views, their opinions, and absolutely holding their ground as to whichever side they were presented. I think so. You have my congratulations.
Thank you. I give the floor to Ms. Dietmar then.
Well, I also have to say that, first of all, it was super interesting doing all the research and, informing ourselves further on the topic of international criminal law, and especially in relation to, well, climate change, invasive species, etc. So even the examples from a scientific point of view were really interesting to read about. And this debate has been it was truly a pleasure for me to debate against our opponents. They were well informed, especially the mens rea argument. We were also looking into that one, and I think they also did greatly, and I really enjoyed debating against them, and I'm looking forward to our networking session. So congratulations to you too.
Thank you very much. Tanish, Niraj, what do you think about the match?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
It was a very interesting match. Both teams did a wonderful job according to me, and the topic itself was very interesting and intriguing to figure out. I think props to both the teams to come up with quick rebuttals. Even proposition side, they came up with very quick rebuttals to our arguments, and we tried our best to come back for this too. So, congratulations to their team as well as my teammates.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Velev, what do you think about the match?
So first of all, I want to congratulate the opposing team. You guys were interesting opponents, and it was really nice to go against you. Personally, I thought it was a really interesting topic to research because usually I'm not very much into public law, but I think as future lawyers, we need to kind of embrace challenges and just go with the flow and research and just explore more topics. And I think that was really interesting. And as my colleague Emily already said, also the scientific part was really interesting. So I'm really looking forward to also the other debates.
Thank you very much. Shauni Veta, Solai, Kanana Sekar?
I think it was a very fun debate. We really enjoyed just within the team itself, debating between ourselves for the past 1 week. And we are very interested in international criminal law as well. So it was very nice to, start the journey with international criminal law. And for that matter, I really want to thank our opponents for engaging with us on the debate and using our points to, further their own interests as well. And we tried our best to, as Trisha and Neeraj said, come up with something that could potentially advance our side of the argument. But it was a very fun time. I hope we get to interact again, and I wish the team all the best for the future matches as well. So
Thank you very much. And Meghna Maboumani.
Yes, so thank you very much to our opponents and also to my own team for the excellent arguments. I must congratulate the opposing team for the diversity of their arguments, but also the fact that they were very well informed. So it was a pleasure debating with you, obviously. And I must say that the debate is at a very fast pace, so you must actually get used to the pace of a debate, to find your arguments, to actually answer the people that you're talking to instead of just reading off of the arguments that we prepared this past week. And overall, I think it was an excellent experience, and I wish the best to our opponents for their further matches.
Thank you very much. So of course, yes, the free judge will be assessing your session. They receive the link. And for the next match, indeed, so you will have each of you a match with the two other teams. So that would be Masaryk University in Czech Republic and the University of the West Indies in Trinidad and Tobago. So the next topic will be on space law. So that you will be researching on. You will receive, of course, the topic 7 days before your match, and same for the opposing teams. And then third topic will be again on different area of law that you will know about. Of course, we already announced, of course, during the ceremony, opening ceremony, but you will know about it during the group phase again. So now we will finish with a bit of networking this session. So it means We'll ask one question to each team, so you can decide who will answer, of course, and maybe give some complement to the answer. So the first question is, how did you decide and why did you decide to participate to this competition? So how did it go? Maybe if there was a process internally. So we start first with the UP Jindal Global University. So tell us how it went.
Yeah, so as you correctly mentioned before the start of the debate, we are representing the Jindal Society for International Law, and the spirit of the society on our campus is essentially to engage in a discussion on international law and to question reality of international law as we know it. And we had a very interesting inter-university, inter-society tournament as well. What is it intra? Yeah, intra-society tournament as well to decide, who would represent the society. And we had a lot of fun in the course of that debate. And I think through that, we kind of figured out that this is something that we would really like to engage in for the next one semester of law school. And I mean, I'm at least, I'm really, really interested in international law and I want to make a career of it. So it gives me a very good opportunity to also network and meet other people who are interested in international law, especially beyond just our country. And I think international law has so much, each country has so much to offer international law in terms of how we see it and how we envision a world where international law could um, drive society to where it really needs to be. And it was really fun to uh, yeah come up with arguments on that front. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more of those opportunities, at least for the next two matches. So yeah.
Thank you. Do you want to add something, the two other members? No? All good? So same question then to the team from Paris. How did it come that you decided to register and to participate to the competition?
Well, we're also participating, well, as an as an association, pretty much as you do as well. And we were fortunate enough to be contacted by email to if we were interested to participate in this debate. And well, in general, we thought that all the topics and the structure, especially the flexibility of the debate, were major advantages of it, and all of us were really enthusiastic about participating in a debate. Martin had the goal essentially to participate in a moot court anyways, or organize a moot court this year. So it was so great to see that there was this opportunity available to us, and I think we're all super glad to be here and having kicked off this journey in that way. So thank you very much to the organizers and for this great debate.
Thank you. You want to add something, the other two members? Okay. Now, second question, the last question of the session. So this one is a bit more on the cultural aspect of the two universities, let's say. So in case the team from Paris is landing in New Delhi, what will be the first food you would like them to try? Food or drinks? Anything that you think that they should discover the first day?
Okay, so I think the obvious choice that us from India would suggest that is, I think, infamous, at least in the world of Instagram Reels and TikTok, would be garlic naan and butter chicken. But I heavily suggest you guys to move on forward and come to my hometown of Hyderabad, India, where I will treat you with the delicious aromatic experience of mutton melting out of the bone in a flavorful pot of what we call biryani. And I promise you, you will go back happier than ever. I think that's one big takeaway that you can taste and take yourself back home with.
Okay, I don't know if the two other members have other dishes, or no? Microphone?
My apologies, but now that you've been made aware of the same, I think it's only fair for me to invite not only you but everybody at the panel to India sometime soon, just so I can give you a taste of that experience.
Okay, thank you very much. Same question, when the team from New Delhi will come to Paris or to your home countries, what they should try as food or as drink? So what would you suggest?
Actually, it's quite funny because we were discussing this yesterday, and I don't know if it was a complete consensus, but I believe we were both, or all three of us, quite adamant on une religieuse, which is basically 2 puff pastries filled with crème anglaise, custard. They're stacked upon each other and iced. It's good.
You agree as well? I mean, indeed, Miss Didmar and Mr. Velef, yes. So it's a French pastry. It's quite famous in France, indeed. So you should try when you arrive in Paris. So many thanks. Thank you for this session. As mentioned, yes, you will receive the results of this match around the end of the week or early next week, so the judge have time to watch and rewatch. I want to mention as well that after this session, I will send you an email with the YouTube link, so if you want to share around, because at the beginning of the session, I saw that the YouTube link was different when I was checking on the live. So you will have the YouTube link, the judge will have that YouTube link as well. So don't worry, the match is recorded on YouTube. I saw some people visiting the match during the session because I can see who is watching. I mean, not who, but how many people are watching. So yes, you will receive that update concerning the YouTube link. And of course, you will receive in a few days the grading rubrics from the free judge that we are sending greetings to, of course, for their time and as well for their willingness to assess your performance for this first match. We remind you that the judge, they assess only one time each team. So for this match, you have 3 judges. In the second match, you will have 3 different judges. And the third match, again, 3 different judges on the 2 first match. So it means in total 9 judges will assess your performance for the full group phase, and then of course for the elimination phase, it's a final, quarterfinals, semifinals. Each time a new set of judges again until the finals. But in the finals there will be even more judges because it's not limited to 3 judges in finals, it is up to 9 judges in finals. So it's just for you to know how it works concerning the international jury. And you have nominated, of course, some judges, and these ones will be assessing other teams for the competition. So many thanks as well on this aspect. So yes, on our side, that was from the Chorus Foundation an honor to have the first participation for this first match already from OP Jindal Global University, and concerning Paris Pantheon-Sorbonne, it is actually the second time, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, there was the first participation from Paris Pantheon-Sorbonne. So that is a great pleasure to have both of you in the competition this year. So yes, so I will see you, myself with my colleagues, in around 2 weeks. You will receive in the next days, of course, your topic on space law. So get ready about it. You can already think about who you want to talk to who might have some experience or expertise concerning space law. And we'll see you very soon online. So many thanks again and congratulations for this first match. See you soon. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.